writing for a teen audience. I think one of the reasons I was approached for this project was that I've worked with the legacy of Ian Fleming on the young James Bond titles, where you're buying into a world created by another author and finding new stuff to say, new ways to make relevant to a modern audience. So for taking something like the Wilbur Smith titles, again, there's huge DNA running through his books, to take some of that, to twist it in a slightly different way, and creating a world that's interesting and engaging for a young adult audience. It's part of the challenge, but it's also hugely rewarding, and great fun, experimenting until you get it right.
Yeah, I mean, it's been fascinating because some of the things that we've had to write about, like especially we couldn't beat about the bush. We have some gory moments in the stories, but Wilbur's books all have that. He's probably the master at writing about death and the way he describes it, which was one of the things I used to love reading in his books. So we wanted to make sure that we didn't kind of want to water that down. We didn't want to make it too sugary, because we feel that teenagers of today are exposed to so much, and they see everything that they do watch adult films. I mean, let's admit it. We wanted something credible that they would read and think, actually, this is really good, and this is right up my street. I mean, I see this on my video games, I see this in the movies I watch. So we wanted to retain as much of that as we could, but also not make it gratuitous, but make it actually relevant and authentic to being chased down by one of these beasts. What would actually happen? And we couldn't really get around that with sugary dialogue.
No, I mean, context and presentation are key, aren't they? Because when guns are involved and animals are being hunted, stuff is going to kick off. Stuff is going to happen, and you have to present that in a way that is real and not glamorized in any way. So it's taking a stand that is somewhere between being truthful and careful in terms of what you're exposing your characters to. Obviously, we were saying earlier, poor Robin and Ralph are going to be in therapy for the next several years.
Yeah, these kids.
After this,
these kids are not snowflakes in any way. These kids are tough. They've been brought up in a very tough environment. Their dad is ex-special forces, so we see that side of it as well, and how he's passed on those skills to his children. So they are very adept at looking after themselves and surviving in this hostile environment.
I mean, they're stewards, aren't they? They have stewardship over a game reserve, so it's not that animals are pets to them. They have a different relationship with them. They understand the wider picture of conservation, of making sure that certain animals may need management or husbandry, because you have to ensure that it's an environment in which all the different species can thrive as best they can. And again, when they use guns, they use them responsibly. They don't use them gratuitously to go out shooting. They will understand from what they've been taught from their father and the hard lessons they've learned on reserve. That you can't save everything, and neither should you hunt indiscriminately. So they take all those aspirations for wildlife and big game in a better world, and they run crashing, don't they, into Gerhard, because he doesn't have any responsibility at all as far as he's concerned. No. Animals are there to be exploited, to be killed, to be used for his own ends.
For his own profit, yeah. One of the things actually we haven't mentioned is the relationship that the girl has, Robin has with animals. She's almost kind of her brother calls her a bit of a witch in her almost like supernatural ability to communicate with animals through her own emotions. She can feel what an animal is feeling by looking into its eyes. So that was another interesting point to see how she was suffering when she saw the animals suffering. So that's been a really interesting part of the story.
Yeah, that big empathy that she brings to the animals, and of course highlights the difference between the animals that we know and the predators that are being, almost turned out on a biological production line, and they're basically reared in pain, aren't they? Because that pain makes them more violent and aggressive, and that makes them more appealing to a certain type of big game hunter, and also makes it handy if you're then turning these creatures loose to kill your political opponents or just murder people in general for entertainment of the voyeuristic watchers. So yeah, there's all sorts going on in these stories. It's basically taking some of the oldest, most primal emotions of hunter versus hunted, but combining it with a hugely high-tech angle of approach. Drawing on those big dynastic themes from Wilbur Smith's novels and presented them through a young adult prism. So we've had a lot of fun juggling these different angles and taking Wilbur's experiences, combining them with our own imaginations and seeing what the hell comes out. Obviously very proud and happy to be extending Wilbur's reach out into the literary world. It's very exciting that we got to work and pretty much finish the first book before his sad passing, but we know that he was very happy with the way things were working out. He was confident with what we were doing, and to have that approval as we go forward is very moving. It's very exciting to be continuing a journey that I first made when I was 10 years old, discovering Wilbur Smith in my dad's bookcase, to helping create a book that will sit on the bookcases of children in today's world. That's an extraordinary cyclical journey, and it's the power of books, it's the power of literature and the imagination, and how these things always redevelop.
Yeah, we want to we want to get young adults reading again. I know there's been a downward sort of turn on, especially with boys perhaps. We want to reverse that and find a new fan base for this genre, and especially with our books. We want to build that and have teenage boys running to their bedrooms to read the books rather than running up there to play another video game.